Oh, yep, okay, there it is. We're recording. Woo! Okay, this is going to be a super quick video today because I am running really late and we're meeting a friend at the cinema and I need to get this in the oven and then go shopping. So, but yeah, I did promise I would do it, so here I am. Okay, so new granola recipe. We are doing coffee and dark chocolate granola today by request of the man in my life who I love. Yeah. I'm not convinced about it. I think it's going to come out slightly bitter, but we shall see. We shall try it and we shall probably enjoy it. The ginger and date granola, by the way, was amazing. That was my favourite one so far. It took about an hour in the oven to bake. It did take a long time, but the clusters were incredible. And yeah, it was just the right amount of ginger as well, so I was super pleased with that. So without any further ado, we've used the same base. And I've mixed it all together because there's no point in showing that to you again. I have 4 cups of oats, 1 cup of mixed nuts, half a cup of mixed seeds. Into the mixed seeds, I've put in linseeds and pumpkins and also these, which is raw cacao nibs, or cacao, I don't know how you pronounce it. It's basically just bits of kind of raw chocolate nut thing. But yeah, okay, so I've put those in. That was as part of that mix. With the fruit mix, because we're going for coffee and dark chocolate, I went for a berry mix, and it's got cherries in because obviously cherries chocolate is a classic. And I eyeballed maybe 2 or 3 teaspoons of cinnamon and yeah, the teaspoon of salt, obviously. So into that, I couldn't find dark chocolate cooking drops, and obviously with my dietary restrictions of not having any dairy, I ended up going for this, which I got from Marks and Spencer's. It is a dark chocolate 50% cocoa made without dairy chocolate bar, and I have chopped it up into bits. They are going into my bowl, and I'll move you slightly so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so this is my bowl, which I will mix up. And in my date paste, last time I think I told you that I'd soaked my dried dates as a cup of dried dates in a cup of boiling water. Well, this time we did it in a cup of real coffee, which he's going to have to drink the rest of when he gets home because it's not my favourite thing in the world. And so I soaked my dates in real coffee. And then I blitzed them like I did with a regular date paste. And then into that I mixed a teaspoon of cocoa powder. And you don't have to be, like, I know this is super fancy pants, organic, fair trade, raw chocolate, like whatever. You can just use the regular Cadbury's stuff from the supermarket if you want. But yeah, this was just what I had lying about the house. So that, I put a teaspoon of that into here. And it's exactly the same principle as the last time. Basically, chuck it in, stir it all up, spread it on your baking sheet, and then throw it in a low heat. I think I'm going to go with 150 this time, because yeah, it is a cup of liquid and it does take a while. And I think with this one, it's going to be hard to judge the colour of it. Let's try this. Oh my god. Oh, you guys, that's amazing. I thought it was going to be really bitter, but it's not. Oh, that is so good. Okay, we're on video. Let's leave that for later. Right. Okay, so, yeah, we shall stir. I mean, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of dark chocolate, but it is really good for you, especially if you do have polycystic ovary syndrome. It's absolutely loaded with magnesium, which is useful for all sorts of things, including helping you sleep. And if you aren't taking a magnesium supplement, I would probably suggest that you do. It's one of the few things that I think most polycystic ovary specialists would recommend. Yeah, speaking of polycystic ovary syndrome, this month it is I actually don't know, I think it's like the 3rd of September today or something. Is it 3rd today? Well, anyway, September 2017 has been designated as Polycystic Ovary Syndrome Awareness Month. And not so much to celebrate, because frankly, why do you want to celebrate a disease that brings misery to so many millions of people worldwide? But yeah, it's Polycystic Ovary Syndrome Awareness Month, and so as a result, on the blog, I am doing every day a post about the syndrome in one form or another. So I think the first one was kind of the introduction as to, you know, what this month is and what we're doing on the blog. The second one is why now, and actually that's kind of important. It's the House of Representatives in the government of the United States of America has formed a resolution to improve awareness of polycystic ovary syndrome, and basically they're going to try and put a bit more work towards educating people about it, and also potentially funding more research into it, and maybe even one day finding a cure. So, you know, I'm fully behind supporting that as a resolution. So yeah, so that was the second day's post. The third day's post, I think, is facts and figures, like, you know, how many millions of women worldwide suffer from it, and so on and so on. Over the next couple of days, I'm going to talk a little bit about diet. So, for example, because it has an element of insulin resistance to it and an element of inflammation to it, we will be talking about why you should cut certain things out of your diet, including carbs and sugars. We're going to talk about treatments for it, the current managed accepted treatments, including things like metformin, spironolactone, and the contraceptive pill, which is usually the first line of treatment from most doctors. And yeah, and then for people who either can't take those medications or can't afford them, I appreciate that healthcare everywhere is expensive. You know, it's not many places have the luxury that we have here in the UK. So I'll be looking at slightly more natural treatment options as well, just, you know, out of interest. Later in the month, I'll be sharing recipes. I have stories as well to share from some of my fellow teal warriors, you know, and the handy hints and tips that they have for living with this syndrome. So yeah, it's not all going to be doom and gloom. You know, I mean, yes, I appreciate that it is a horrible illness and that there is no cure, but that doesn't mean we can't live with it with grace. So that's my plan for this month, and I hope, you know, if you're watching this, you will participate in it. You'll maybe pop along to the blog. I'll put a link in the comments underneath. And yeah, just come and see what it's all about. Even if you've never heard of the illness, it's maybe something that you might want to get behind campaigning for, because chances are, I mean, I've seen figures that range from every 1 in 10 to every 1 in 8 and 1 in 5. So if 1 in 5 women that you know suffers from this syndrome, chances are you can almost guarantee that you know somebody that has it. And for there to be such a staggering lack of research into it is frankly just, well, it's devastating and it's shocking. So yeah, maybe get on board with it. Perhaps put a little teal in your wardrobe this week. Oh, look, my mixing bowl matches. Yay, go Team Teal. Alright, so that is it. It is in an even layer. It is going in the oven. And yeah, I've got it at 150 today. So we will see how it goes. I don't want to bake this one for too long, because obviously it might just melt the chocolate into melty, sticky messness. So we shall see. If I can figure out how to edit videos, because I'm technologically clueless, I will come back, you know, in the next 15-20 minutes or so and turn it all over and show you what it looks like, and then maybe also show you the finished product. But we shall see. I may or may not manage it. Okay, alright, bye guys. Hello! Okay, I am out of breath. I'm sorry I used my 15 minutes wisely, which was to run to the shop 2 blocks away and buy the things for our Sunday roast. But the good news is that you can smell delicious roasting coffee and chocolate all the way downstairs, which is awesome. And I have taken it out of the oven to stir it up. It has been, like I said, about 15 minutes. And it's looking good. As far as I can see, let me do this so you can see it. As far as I can see, the chocolate bits actually seem to be holding together fairly well. Okay, maybe I spoke too soon. Now that I'm stirring them, they are kind of disintegrating. Oops. But, oh, you guys, this smells amazing. But it better taste good or I will be really upset. But yeah, this seems to be quite a dry mix, even though it has exactly the same volume of liquid in. So I'm not entirely sure what's happened there. But it looks like it's going quite well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press this down. I think I spoke to you about this on the last video, but I didn't show it to you. To press it down really hard into a nice flat, even layer. And what this will do is, once you've pressed it together, it will form clumps. And when you take this out of the oven, set it aside to cool without touching it. And when it's completely chilled to room temperature, then you break it up and store it away. And that will be what gives you the nice oaty clusters. Okay, so that's that, all deliciously pressed down. I was going to swipe that off with my finger, but I think if I do, I will probably burn myself. Yeah, I'm just going to put that there and then clean it up later. Right, so back in the oven for another 15 minutes, and then I will return when it's finished. Okay, bye. Okay, and we're back. So this is the finished product. It was in the oven for approximately 30 minutes. It could probably have done this slightly longer, but the chocolate all melted, and so I thought perhaps it was a good idea not to leave it in. It's actually fairly dry and fairly crunchy. It's just not, maybe the oats aren't as golden as I would have liked. So this has been sat for about 6 hours now, and it is completely cold. You have to leave it to go to room temperature before you break it up, otherwise you break up the clusters. Yeah, if you can hear any noise in the background, that's the man doing the washing up, bless him. So just ignore it, it's fine. No, it's fine. So yeah, what I tend to do is just like that. Can you see here how it's kind of gone into these clusters? And those are really, really nice. That's kind of what we're looking for. When I talk about clusters, that's what I mean. And there is a lot of melted chocolate in here. That can go. I don't think they can be recycled, but it can definitely go in the bin. Now, storage. We tend to use one of these clip-lock tops, cereal dispenser things. It's got like a lid on the top. Granolas I've made for other people, I've tended to give them a Kilner jars, purely because that way they'll store for longer because it's more airtight than these things are. You can keep it for about 2 weeks, but if you're going to keep it for any longer than that, I would strongly suggest putting it in the freezer. But yeah, as long as it's relatively airtight and you don't leave it lying around for longer than 2 weeks, you should be fine. Like, this smells amazing. And flavour-wise, it's actually pretty awesome. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of coffee, and I thought it would be overwhelming because there's a whole cup full of coffee in here. But you know, actually, it's more of a... It's a really subtle flavour. It's really nice, and I thought that maybe the dark chocolate would be quite bitter, but actually it's not bitter at all. It's the sweetness of the dates has kind of lifted the whole thing. That's really nice, actually. I would make that again. Yeah, it's a good shout, actually. Good shout. So, I'm just going to throw all of this in here and try not to chuck it all over the table. See here some of the really big clusters are where the big chunks of chocolate have melted and just kind of stuck it all together. I think if I was going to do this again, I maybe would have stirred the chocolate chunks in halfway through, so you know how we paused at 15 minutes and stirred it all up. Maybe I could have added the chocolate then and it might have held its shape, because after the second time I did that, I didn't re-stir it, I just put it straight out to cool. So in that case the chocolate chunks might have held their shape slightly better. But yeah, that's a learning point for another day, I think. And that is now okay to go. So I hope you've enjoyed that. And yeah, try it at home. It's a really great flavour. And we very much enjoyed it. So if you would like to leave a comment, please do. If you would like to leave questions, just stick them at the bottom and I will pick them up. But otherwise, I will see you next time. Okay, bye guys.